What's up, everybody? Thanks for stopping by my channel, Esteemed Queen Mentality. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you get to know when I post all of my tea talks. I hope everybody is doing alright. As you know, us folks here on parts of the East Coast have been receiving some snow. So hope everybody is doing well. We are to be getting some more snow this coming up weekend, which is like in a couple of days. So this is a perfect time for me to come to the treehouse, right? Of course, always. So be safe out there. Make sure you have everything that you need, so that way you're not scrambling last minute. But first things first always is safety. You cannot do anything without being here first, okay? Now, I'm going to apologize in advance just in case we hear, some tires screeching outside, all right? That's because people are outside doing what we were told not to do, okay? They're not following directions. They said, to stay off the roads if possible. So many collisions, so much is going on the news. Sometimes you kind of just have to pause it to just breathe, But needless to say, like I said in the beginning, just please be careful, alright? So go ahead, get your water, get your wine. I got Gatorade today. Go ahead, get your water, get your wine, get whatever it is that you're sipping on. Get it and bring it close, okay? We need to have a tea talk, almost like a checkpoint. You'll find me saying this a lot, but that's only because when you're growing, you become, the more enlightened you are, the more aware of what you're doing is happening. Is maturity in all types of forms. So let's have this tea talk, okay? We need to have a tea talk, and this tea talk is sponsored by my real life, all right? So I'm pretty sure the ones who do follow me on IG have received the notification that my IG account was hacked. And as sad as it was, and as pissed off as I was in that hourly window of when it happened and I received the notifications about it, I was tight. I was real hot about it. Not for the fact of these are pictures that I can't repost, but it's more or less for me the portfolio of pictures that ultimately over 12 plus years I've collected, and it's kind of like a time capsule. But needless to say, we need to have a conversation, a tea talk conversation about when things like that happen. Like suddenly you're blindsided, and though you may feel like it should take you off the road, or the person doing it to you, they feel like it should take you off the road. We need to have a moment of silence. Because that's exactly what I needed to do when this happened. Now, of course, people panic. Of course, I know I did. Because I did not want anything being affected just from that one account, which luckily it isn't. I separate all of those things. So for it to be my personal account, that was one thing I had to really stop and take a big take a look at the big picture, all right? So when we have these situations that come up, they pop up, where there's a bill, a person, you name it, it comes to a time where you have to have this moment of silence with yourself, because if you don't, you'll continue to make reactive decisions, or you'll make decisions that are like second nature for you to just spit out. All because regardless of what motion, what speed, and what climate you in, you need to make sure you have a hold of yourself. I just did a video on what keeps you together, okay? The bond video. You need to go take a look at that. But what we need to talk about within this moment of silence, first thing is first, of course, we need to breathe. All right, I had to breathe in a situation of looking at it like this. Like that was almost like, that was like 2,200 pictures of past pains, hurts, traumas, and red flags on my side, from my end, where I needed to highlight those things and get those things taken care of, regardless of it's therapy, counseling, you name it. those things, you know, that I used to do now stick out to me. I see it was a cry for help. It wasn't, you know, someone seeking attention. Yeah, it was, but it wasn't to the down to the degree of what other people will seem to post pictures and in that relation, you know what I'm saying? So I had to look at that because got my notes. So, you know, it's a thing of sometimes God will he'll withhold his glory just to test us and to prepare us, because if it's hard for us to let go of the small things, imagine how in the world we will act when it comes down to things that we gradually deserve and earn. For me, like I said, I look at it as a time capsule. I went through a lot. I've been through a lot. I learned a lot of lessons, even in what I was posting. The difference within the last 3 years is I started to post less. Like I said before, you live your best life offline. So where it is, I felt at one point, you know, it was mandatory for me to put my life out there. I don't feel that way now that I'm in a different age bracket and I'm in a different mind frame. So though at that moment the cardinal, the worldly me was more of like, you know what I'm saying, I'm to my highest positivity. Like I said, I was tight. You hear me? Rubber bands on crooked teeth. I was tight. But I had to keep in mind, these are all things of hurt and pain. And just like the doubt fire, at some point, you got to let them go. You got to let them go. You still have copies of those pictures. So it's not like you can't repost them, you know. But if you're worried about, you know, what you're hanging on to, knowing that it's okay for you to start over, then how much of that in the past really meant something to you and that other person, where it should have some sentimental value, especially if you hurt and you're out of that pain. It's time to let it go. So it's so awesome that I can actually think of it like that and get over it very quickly, because I know with my new IG page, I can really, like, it was almost as if like the angel sat me down and just said, you know what, you deserve a fresh start. You deserved it from the get-go. You've been earning it. You've been winning to deserve it. You've been doing all that. Like, you need to really see it, like, point blank period in front of you. It's just time for you to have a clear slate. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't create, you know, stuff just to kill dead air. Like, let it be there. If that's what you like, let it be there. You don't always have to post. And the people that do know me and know me well enough to know, like, you know, I don't even, the verbiage of the hacker, you know, it was just like, yo, this is not you at all. So, you know, shouts out to everybody that reported it and etc. for me. So, like I said, number 2, we realize there's a realization when it comes down to when we have these moments of silence, when we have these things that just like to be like a big old brick to the kidneys, okay? You know, when it comes to realizing God's test is to keep us aligned so we don't live a lie. That was the thing also. It's like sometimes it's okay for you to be like, you know what, I don't live that way. I don't live that life. I don't have that mentality anymore. So for me to create something new, and then versus me trying to hang on to the past, this is exactly why people become stagnant. It's because we get to a point we're so used to what we're used to, we never transition out of old into something different. We transition into what we can settle for, and if it's don't broke, don't fix it. That don't work for everything. It doesn't work for everything. Damn sure not with growth. Okay, growth, you can't be out here. You got to be out here like Gumby. You got to be willing to stretch however and bend however to make sure you understand the assignment. So I did in those 2 aspects. Let's stop and breathe. You know, how important is this to you? What about it is so important that you got to hang on to it? All right, that can go for anger, that can go for grudges, you name it. When it comes down to realizing how much value is in something that you're willing and trying your best to hang on to, you also need to look at what purpose does it serve you. Because if it doesn't serve a purpose, but you want it around, now we need to go into the idea of vices and addictions. Because if it's serving a purpose, it's damn sure ain't going to be those 2 things. All right. So number 3, when we get to a point we realize where, the value of something is something that we need to really take a moment and think about, if we need to keep it, let it go, the value of it. We had this book in book club called, it's called the subtitle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This is a situation, readers, where this is where you give a fuck. Because guess what? You can sit here all you want to and feel as if like, after a while don't mean anything to you, But you have to understand, like, how are you living though? Because if you're living to pretty much stay a good person, it's never good to hang on to things that had you in a light that wasn't your brightest. And it's okay for you to let those type of stars kind of like, dwindle off and become non-existent. Because it's just like if you were to take a picture of like a dark liquid, right? Like root beer or something, right? And you were to pour fresh water into it. Ultimately, eventually, that brown, that coloring will go out of the bowl. And eventually will all become white. It will all wash out. Well, that's the same way when it comes to how we are supposed to be about ourselves. At some point, we have to filter what it is that does not serve us, that does not have value. And most importantly, if it's something that's going to cut your air off, it's damn sure something you need to reevaluate, ring the alarm, wave the red flags, look at, the pros and cons of things, and put into perspective where on that list of 1 through 5 would you really be placed at. Because if we don't look at the things that we decide to add on to our lives, if we're not careful on how we react to if they malfunction like my Instagram page did, if we allow that page to go out of whack and have whatever happened to it have me out of control, okay, well, that had too much power in the beginning. So if that's a way of me coming back to reality, then that's cool. In this situation, it's just more or less a thing of, you deserve to know that you came to the end of this road, and now you can turn and make whatever choices you want. It is wide open for you. You done made it to the freeway. The choice is yours on what you want to do. So, we got to look at those type things. I'm very proud and thankful and grateful that, social media doesn't have that type of stronghold on me as much as it used to. That's what this taught me in my moment of silence, is that it doesn't have that type of control on me like it used to. It doesn't, feed a yearn that I have as far as, if I want anything. As far as, you use social media to reach out to friends and family and stay connected. And not all of us have those great beginnings. So you learn how to move through life and you move on in life. And so, social media isn't a big thing for me personally anymore, but it damn sure is professionally. Shouts out to everybody that's been shopping at Sisters Black owned businesses. I love y'all. And for the ones who are loving all of my pet child's business stuff, child, if I can find him, I'll bring him up here and tell him to tell y'all thank you. But right now, he ain't here. So, I'd rather it be him than me. So, child, you let me know down below what you think. What have you gone through that kind of gave you a moment of silence? You know what I'm saying? It could be good or bad. But in the midst of it being either one or the other, how much value did it hold? How much control did it hold? And did you realize you need to give it consideration, give it a fuck, or not? It's okay if it's not, because that just means it's like you're shedding a new skin. You know what I'm saying? You're coming into a new skin. So yeah, all my information about my IG is posted down below. Parental advisories posted. But nonetheless, like, yeah, I had my little 3-4 hours where I was a little bit tight about it, because it's just kind of like, you would think the audacity of people, because you can create your own profile. So take in mind and pretending to be others. That shit ain't cool. That shit is not wavy. That shit is not wavy. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But outside of that and in between, honey, I'm still kicking. I'm still doing all right. One monkey don't stop no show. And y'all already know how I am, okay? I stay on my game. So it didn't really knock me off course. Not too much. Maybe a couple hours. But that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. And you know, the more control you are in your life, the more you'll see that those type of things are like water on a duck's back. Now I see what some of my friends, my older friends, were saying to me when I was younger. Like, that you don't pay that shit no mind no more. As long as it's not everything else, I'm good. So, my ancestors and my angels were strong on me last week. Because Lord knows, if I could go ahead and just Wilma Rudolph and them IP addresses to Nigeria. But needless to say, y'all let me know down below what y'all think about this tea talk. Be sure that y'all like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that way you get to know when I post all of my tea talks. And once again, y'all be out y'all out there in this weather like myself, please be careful, okay? Prayers up for all of my tea talkers and y'all family. Be safe in this weather, and until next time, I will talk to y'all later.